Good day, Matthew. My name's Ken MacLeod. I'm the president and CEO of Sonoro Gold. Sonoro is trading on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol SGO and also on the OTCQB and also on the Frankfurt Exchange. We're operating in Mexico in the Sonora State. We're developing an open pit heap leach mine that has been approximately 5 years in the making, 5 years of drilling. 55,000 meters of drilling in total has yielded a PEA last year in October of 2023, which demonstrates throughput of 12,000 tons per day with a 9-year life of mine producing 33,000 ounces a year of gold. And now we have only developed so far less than 30% of the known mineralized zones in the property. So 70% of the potential resource remains undrilled, although we know it's mineralized. And so the goal for us now is to go from the current to just under 500,000 ounces of gold within the pit shells to a potential up to 2 million ounces. So the focus then is to get into cash flow and first of all, of course, get the environmental impact statement approved, which went through the process 2 years ago. Get the project into construction, into production, develop the cash flow, and then channel some of the cash flow into additional drilling so we can realize fully the value of the property.
Right. Well, there we go. You've got a plan. It's been a bit difficult to, I guess, deliver that plan up until now. I'm looking at page 2 of your presentation, and it's Claudia Sheinbaum, the new president, saying there's nothing to worry about.
I think that is now the order of the day. We have gone through 6 years of AMLO's presidency with a distinct lack of interest in supporting mining projects in Mexico during that period of time. And over the past year and a half, there was a constant talk about the potential for AMLO to propose a ban on future open pit mining. Propose a ban on open pit mining, but that didn't come to pass. He had 6 years to enact that ban. But the main feature of AMLO's presidency was the reform in the judicial sector, and he achieved that quite handsomely by getting a supermajority in the government with the vote in June the 2nd of this year, and consequently he was able to enact the reform in the legal system, enact reform to change the National Guard from civilian overseer to military jurisdiction, and as a result, the main features of his reforms have been achieved. The interesting thing right now for us is the original 100-point pledge that AMLO's presidency had put together, which was adopted initially in June by his then future successor, Claudia Sheinbaum, contained a point for point number 87, I believe, was for banning future open pit mines. Well, that is now gone. As of October the 1st, President Sheinbaum issued a brand new 100-point manifesto, so to speak. And in that plan, the open pit mining ban has been removed. So in other words, it's no longer an issue. She recognizes, and she's a very pragmatic woman, obviously, she recognizes that a ban on open pit mining would cripple the economy of Mexico. And as a result, we feel very confident that she will now enact policies that will enable us to flourish in Mexico as a potential open pit miner.
Right. And do you think that foreign direct investment has been put off and just sitting back and waiting to see, how this actually plays out? And what does it do for companies like yourself as you're trying to move through the phases, as it were?
Well, there's billions of dollars of investment sitting on the sidelines waiting for the word from Mexico City that it is open for business. Now, here's an interesting development that occurred this week, on Tuesday, actually. President Sheinbaum convened a meeting in the palace in Mexico City of 200 CEOs from the U.S.-Mexico Forum. And she assured these CEOs that Mexico is open for foreign investment and that foreign investment in the Mexican economy will have nothing to fear from the policies that have been enacted over the past few months by the administration. And so I think we have to take her at her word, because when you disclose that to over 200 foreign CEOs with billions of dollars worth of investment in Mexico and waiting on the sidelines, I think we can safely assume that we will be able to flourish in Mexico through this administration of President Sheinbaum.
Right. Okay. And just coming back to, I guess, the kind of commercial realities of, being sort of frozen in terms of the fact that most investors, not just foreign direct investment in the broadest context, retail investors, just were very, very unsure. There's been no money going into Mexico last few years, and a lot of Mexican assets just really haven't been able to advance. Yours is a small project now, and not big capex ask based on your PEA from last year, but has the kind of the speed at which this has moved, does that change the way that you think you need to approach the project, the way that you need to kind of manage your business?
I think the mantra that is taking place now in Mexico with the government is sustainability. That they have adopted that as a requirement for companies like us to follow. And I believe, of course, we've always maintained that sustainability is a key factor in having a successful mining enterprise. So what we've been looking at with our mine plan is maybe doing some tweaking to ensure that it meets or exceeds the requirement for sustainability. Now, we had already ingrained that into the original mine plan, but now we're looking at it from the point of view, can we make it even more environmentally friendly? And we're adopting a couple of key policies that will make the project even more environmentally friendly. And that's not going to change the structure of the mine plan. It will still be starting off relatively small, with a small capex of $15.5 million, and growing as we continue with the drilling program and paid for out of cash flow.
Right, but you don't feel, I guess, maybe because the nature of the fact it's not capital intensive, you don't feel a need to kind of rush things towards play, kind of catch up.
There's no need for catch up. We went through the environmental review process with Semarnat, the environmental agency, 2 years ago, actually, more than 2 years ago. We went through the process. The question and answer periods were done in a normal fashion, and we fully expected to have the environmental impact permit approved by the end of 2022. Well, it didn't happen, and so we went into this 2-year holding pattern with no real explanation from Semarnat as to why the delay occurred. But of course, we all know that it was caused by President Lopez Obrador. So now we have a situation where we've gone through the review process, and now we have to go back into Semarnat and just to make sure that they're fully satisfied as to the decisions that were made 2 years ago. Now, can we live with the decisions today? And the answer is we fully expect that in the next 6 months or so, that we should be able to get the environmental permit approved.
Right, and because of what statements that they have made, or
no, I
that's
think
how long it should take under normal circumstances?
It's a case of that we followed all the international standard, the highest standards for environmental protection with respect to the mine plan. We are in an area of 100 years of disturbance. We're on a cattle ranch. There are no human dwellings anywhere near us for 14 kilometers. The little town of Corp is where we draw upon the support for the workers to work on the site and in the future mine. We have an office in Corp. There's, as far as sightlines are concerned, there are no habitations that have a sightline of the proposed mine. And so we're surrounded by producing mines. Santa Gertrudis, operated by Agnico Eagle, is to our north, and that will hopefully be going into production fairly soon. We have a producing mine to our west and a producing mine to our east. So This is an area that has already been touched by mining activity over the past 50 to 100 years, although albeit in a small scale. But we're not breaking new ground here. We are in an oxide zone all the way down to 200 meters and below, and we figure that the project itself will not pose any risk to the environment. There's no arsenic. There's no other contaminants in the ore that could possibly contaminate the water supply in the area.
Right. I mean, and obviously, like I get it's starting small and it's as simple as heap leach process here, but the grades are you're looking at sort of 0.46 grams per ton. Again, not unusual, but you seem to be. I mean, your IRRs are at 2,000. I'm again from your marketing material suggested, but over 60%. At today's prices of 26.50. That's got to be very, very attractive indeed. If you get up and running, I know you're on like 30% of the target, but scale is going to be important for you to be kind of, I guess, get recognized or appreciated going forward. How do you kind of measure the kind of immediate need to get this thing up and running and get into cash flowing, and actually maybe listen to the market and say, well, we need scale not only in this project, but maybe with other acquisitions potentially. I mean, how do you view growing?
Well, first of all, you've touched upon the IRR based upon $2,000 gold. So that was a year ago when that report was published. Much has happened since then. When you look at today, gold is trading at $2,700. So if you were to factor in the value of the project now at $2,700, it is multiples of where we're at today, or where we're at with the original PEA last year. I can't tell you exactly because it has not been disclosed in a 43-101 report, but you can work at the math yourself and come up with a pretty spectacular return on the investment. Now that's step one. Our team has built as many as 11 mines in Mexico over the past 40, 50 years. Now that is a record that is that we're now bringing forward to bear on this project here. And so once we get this established, once we get the production started, we will then immediately continue with the drilling program. And we have identified the zones where the areas of higher grade, for example, where we can continue to drill there. And you mentioned 0.46 grams as being the average for the project. But in the areas of high grade of the Colorado zone, the Guadalupe vein structure and Cabeza Blanca, the grade is almost twice that. It's about 0.9 grams. And so we want to emphasize that the drilling program in these areas will continue. And we should be able to, instead of having 2 to 3 years of initial of life of mine at the higher grade, we want to expand that to maybe 4 or 5, or maybe even longer. And so that's step one with respect to increasing the production. But step two will be that we want to keep on drilling as much as possible to expand, because the potential for up to 2 million ounces is real. We've identified the zones that we want to drill. And as it stands right now, SRK did give us a potential 285,000 ounces. That's already drilled, but the drill spacing is a little too wide for them to classify it as a resource at this time. Well, for us, the goal is to go in there and do some infill drilling, and that's lower risk to us. So getting up to the million ounce potential is we believe is a very realistic proposition and over the next year. And beyond that, hopefully we'll be targeting 2 million ounces after that.
Well, there we go. Okay, so
now, as far as other projects, we are looking at other projects. We have a second project called San Marcial that is fully paid for. We own it 100%. Currently 1,000 hectares, and it's drill ready. We spent a couple of years on the surface sampling and mapping, and it's drill ready. We believe it has similar potential to Cerro Caliche. Beyond that, yes, we have been looking at other projects over the past while. We've also, while this potential open pit mining ban was being discussed in Mexico. We looked at the potential for underground mining at Cerro Caliche. And there are areas within the concession that where the higher grades do bring us to the point where it's attractive to put in an underground mine if that was the only solution. But now, as far as we're concerned, the best way to mine this project here is open pit, bring in the open pit high grade and the disseminated gold of the lower grade, mine them together, and that's much more efficient than attempting right now to go into an underground situation. That doesn't mean to say that there's no potential for underground in the future, but we decided when we started drilling 5 years ago that we would develop the large open pit near surface oxide deposit, get into cash flow, and then we can afford to go and take the risk of trying to find large underground potential, because next 8 kilometers away from us on the same structure is the Mercedes mine, which is operating at between 300 and 350 meters below surface. And we would certainly like to take a look at depth to see if we can emulate the success of the Mercedes mine.
Well, look, Ken, it's a nice introduction to the story, which I've not heard of before. So I do appreciate that, even more so, but I appreciate your thoughts on what's going on there in Mexico. And I will be following you with interest to sort of see if you can start moving through those phases in this new environment that we find ourselves down there.
We'll stay in touch. A pleasure talking to you, Matthew.